Hey everyone, Merry Christmas. Now I'm sure most of you have got far better things to be doing on Christmas Day than watching YouTube, but if any of you are in need of a quick break to escape it all, I have got just the race for you. This combo is a real cracker and it packs plenty of Christmas punch, and yeah, don't worry, that is the last of the puns, I promise. But seriously though, when I was searching the Sims this week to find a bonus race to do, there really was only one winner in my eyes, the JCW Mini Challenge at Brands Hatch on Automobilista 2. Now it's been a long time since I last raced AMS2 on Low Fuel Motorsport, but I couldn't turn down the chance to race one of my favourite cars at my favourite circuit. So let's head over to a frosty and very wintry looking Brands Hatch where I'll be starting P11 on a grid of 18. Here we go then, the lights are green and we are underway. It's a cold and chilly day at Brands Hatch, but this action will heat us up in no time. I'm starting from the 6th row of the grid in P11. I will have the inside line into Paddock Hill Bend. That's Raul Garcia to my outside. Garcia starting P10, still holding that position at the moment, but will I be able to creep up the inside into Druid's Hairpin? No, I'm not quite close enough. Garcia taking the wide line around the outside. And actually I may end up losing a position because Walter Schreiner carried a lot more pace taking that wider route through Druids. Oh, a tap! Not once but twice. Two bumps from behind going into Graham Hill Bend sends me way out onto the grass. I wasn't the only one by the looks of things. At least two cars in front of me also throwing up some turf there. And that excursion has cost me a further 4 positions. I now find myself down into P16. So if I'm going to get a good result here, I'll need to do it the hard way. Oh, Justin Smith and Oya Banos getting tangled up in front. That'll give me one of those positions back. Banos rejoining behind me. And I think Banos was one of the 2 drivers to give me a tap going into Graham Hill Bend a moment ago. We'll go back and check out the replay shortly, but for now, let's stick with the live action because this is fast and ferocious battling in front. Florian Hogg has gone around the outside of Justin Smith into Westfield there. And Smith's tighter line didn't do him any favours. He's down on pace, exiting the corner. That allows me to close right in as we come up to this tricky sheen curve for the first time. And it looks like it's proved a bit too tricky for Rajesh Janathula there. So that is P14 gained. Oh, no, it's not. Oya Banos forcing his way up the inside through Sterling's. Well, I paid the price there for not keeping my corner entry as tight as I possibly could. And Banos didn't need a second invitation. Well, it does look like I'm going to get P14 now because there was a very bashed up Mini in the gravel trap at Clearways. Meanwhile, I've got the run on Banos here. This could be a chance to pass up the inside, but now Banos moves to the inside to try and pass Smith, so I don't want to get squeezed. I'm going to back out of it, and I'm glad I did because there's big contact between Banos and Smith. The pair of them crash out at Paddock Hill Bend. Yeah, I sensed the danger when I saw Banos move back to the inside, and thankfully I lifted just in the nick of time. Right, let's take another look at these lap 1 incidents, starting with the rapid fire double tap, first from Mehdi Hamdi and then from Oya Banos, which put me out onto the grass and sent me all the way back to P16. Now we're watching Banos, and he certainly wasn't frightened to get his elbows out on this opening lap. He gets in a tangle with Justin Smith here, the pair of them out onto the grass. Banos bounces off the barrier, he's back on track, but not before I manage to squeeze past. Sheen curve now, Rajesh Janathula just running a little bit wide on exit, clipping the grass on the outside, and that spins him out. Now at the end of the lap we saw a very beaten up Mini in the gravel trap at Clearways. It was the pole position driver and race leader Alexandra saying, dear me, that was a huge shunt, and it wasn't the only huge shunt either because at the start of lap 2 we saw another one. Banos and Smith have already locked horns once in this race and they're going to do it again into Paddock Hill Bend. Banos trying to move up the inside, Smith already turning in to try and hit the apex, and the pair of them crash out. This is my on board, and it was at this precise point that I decided to lift, and I'm glad I did. If I'd have kept fighting I would have ended up in the gravel with them, but as it is I'm now back up into P12. Right, returning to the live action then, and a nice little gap starting to open up behind me back to Alexandra Koch in P13. And things might get better in front too, because that is Mehdi Hamdi rejoining at Graham Hill Bend, so that promotes me up into P11. Now that incident actually started with Michael Charalambo in P2, just clipping the grass on the outside, approaching Graham Hill Bend. A spectacular spin out and then a scary rejoin right in front of the approaching Mehdi Hamdi. Really unlucky for Hamdi that, nothing he could do there. So what can I do from P11 then? Well, as we come through Westfield, take a look further down the track and you can see a 4-car battle for P7. Now they're currently between 3 and 4 seconds in front of me. However, I have the advantage of a clear track, so I'm confident I can close in on this battle over the coming laps. And while I was working hard to reduce that gap, I also gained a position. This is Leon Schlitzer getting it all wrong approaching clearways and crashing out of P3. Returning to the live action, we're now approaching half race distance, just about to start lap 6, and you can see that I'm visibly closer to the car in front. Gareth Hickus is now within 1 second. Unfortunately, what was a 4-car battle for P7 has now spread out, so at the moment I'm just concentrating on trying to get past Hickus. I am in the top 10 now, at least, following Schlitzer's crash a couple of laps ago, and I'm now applying real pressure on Hickus. He was wide exiting Druids there, and it looks like he may miss the apex into Graham Hill Bend as well. That is going to send him out onto the grass. I move over to the left, allowing him enough space to rejoin, but easily breezing past and up into P9. Right, next in my sight is that battle for P7 between Michael Charalambo and Florian Hogg. They're about 2.5 seconds down the road at the moment, but before I start concentrating on that, I've got a bit of defensive work to do here because Hickas is fighting back. He had a much better exit out of Surtees, which is the weakest part of the circuit for me. I've really been struggling through that corner, so that has put me under undue pressure here, coming through Hawthorns. Thankfully, my tight line has just about held him off, but I am braced for another attack coming into Westfield. No, he thinks better of it. And that back out has come at the perfect time for me because I know I'm quicker than Hickas through this section of the track. It was the final sector where I was gaining the majority of my time while I was trying to close in on him. And if I can just open up a bit of breathing room here, that will allow me to fully concentrate on catching Florian Hogg in P8 and Walter Schreiner, who is now in P7. Schreiner has been passed by Charalambo. And here's another look at Hickas' mistake coming into Graham Hill Bend, carrying a bit too much speed, misses the apex, out onto the grass, and that is a gift wrap P9 for me. Lap 7 now then. I'm still a good couple of seconds off this battle for 7th position, but look how close they are now. Florian Hogg sizing up a move on Walter Schreiner by the looks of it as they go down the hill. And as they reappear into view, yes, sure enough, they're side by side into Hawthorn. Schreiner taking the defensive line on the inside. Hogg going around the outside. Is Hogg going to make the pass here? They're still side by side into Westfield. Hogg holding the wider line. I suspect he's looking for the switchback out of the corner, and that's exactly what he was going for. Now Hogg's on the inside line, and I can barely watch as they approach Sheen Curve too wide. And oh yeah, Schreiner has gone. It is very rare you go too wide through that corner and both live to tell the tale. Usually it's the driver on the outside who comes off worse, and that was exactly the case here as Schreiner clips the grass entering the corner. Now a lap later we saw an identical mistake. Raul Garcia clipping the exact same patch of grass, and it's the exact same end result and another position for me. So as we rejoin the live action at 3/4 race distance, I'm now up into P7. And I'm almost within striking distance of Florian Hogg too in P6. The gap is less than a second now. We've still got 4 minutes left on the clock. Plenty of time here at Brands Hatch. And I've got nothing at all to worry about in the rearview mirror at the moment. Gareth Hickas is more than 4 seconds behind. Oh, and yeah, look how close I'm getting to Hogg now. I said earlier in the race that this was my favourite part of the circuit. I'm really gaining time through here, picking up momentum, and now I really am within striking distance of the car in front. That gap just 0.3 of a second now. Right, we're going to jump forward a lap. I've managed to stay on Hogg's tail through the opening half of this 11th lap, and now we're approaching the part of the track that I know I'm stronger in. Getting visibly closer through Hawthorns, and now I'm going to apply the pressure into Westfield. Oh, I might be trying a little bit too hard there, almost running wide on exit. Came within inches of clipping the grass on the outside. Thankfully I didn't, but I did have to lift and lose a bit of time. But now it's Hogg's turn to have a fright with the grass. He came really close to running off track there, exiting Sheen Curve. That puts me right back into contention, and now we've got the added jeopardy of a back marker to contend with. That is Laszlo Percheld, who's running P14 on track. Hopefully we'll both be able to get past him safely down this start-finish straight. We're approaching the end of lap 11 now. Less than 2 minutes left on the clock. I am expecting a 13-lap race though, so we will have 2 more laps. There will be plenty of opportunities for me to get this 6th position, particularly now I'm within a couple of tenths of the driver in front. Down Paddock Hill then, there's another back marker parked up to the right. That is Justin Smith. Justin staying perfectly still until the battle has got past him. Yeah, I'm really close now, breathing down the neck of Florian Hogg, and we've now got P5 in our sights too. Mart Dam just 1.3 seconds ahead. A mistake for Dam. He's out onto the grass and Florian Hogg has followed him out onto the grass. This is a golden opportunity to get P6. The pair of them making a right mess of Graham Hill Bend. And now I'm within a second of Mark Dam in P5. Or could I get a top 5 finish here? It seems unthinkable considering I was down in P16 on lap 1. But we've made excellent progress here. We're still going to have one more lap after this one. Oh, Hogg incoming into Hawthorne's, having a real look up the inside. Thankfully, there was no contact, and I kept myself just far enough ahead to hold on to this P6. But yeah, there I was starting to talk about a top 5 finish, and all of a sudden I get a big reminder that there is still a danger behind me. Hogg wants this position back. And for the second lap in a row, I was also a little bit wide exiting Westfield, so that has made me lose a little bit of ground to Mark Dam in front. He's opened up a few tenths here. Meanwhile, Hogg still within 0.3 of a second behind, so we're approaching the final lap. What is going to happen here at Brands Hatch? Can I hold on to P6? Can I go even better? Close in on Mark Dam and get a top 5 finish? Well, all will be revealed over the next minute and a half. We started this race with a clear, bright blue, wintry sky at Brands Hatch. Now it is far more grey and gloomy, but the action is certainly compensating for the poor conditions. And I tell you what, we're not actually that far off P4 now. Michael Sharalambo is within 1 second as we hit Druid's hairpin for the final time. So yeah, we could be set for a grandstand finish here. Sharalambo P4, Dam P5, me P6 and Hogg P7. The 4 of us separated by less than 2 seconds. I was hoping to see a mistake from one of the other 3 drivers through Graham Hill Bend again there, but nope, they're all through cleanly. And as a result, I'm just not quite close enough to consider making a move on Mark Dam. However, I do fancy myself to close in a little bit more through this upcoming section, particularly through Westfield and then Sheen Curve, but that will mean I'll be right on the tail of Dam approaching the final corner. This could come down to a do or die manoeuvre at the final turn. But for now, I've got to concentrate on reeling Dam in. This is the part of the track that I know I'm quick. And yeah, coming into Westfield, I'm visibly closer once again. Oh, again, a little bit wide on exit. I'm going to keep it pinned, though. Flirting with disaster, getting that close to the grass out of Westfield. Now I'm right on the tail of Dam, and there's a mistake further in front. Sharalambo has gone. In the rearview mirror, Hogg having one final lunge into Sterling's. He's gone as well. So I'm up into P5, and as predicted, I'm chasing down Mark Dam into clearways for the final time. I'm not quite close enough to consider a move. Am I close enough to get a tow? No, I don't think so. So I will have to settle for P5. But I'm not going to complain about that. I am well pleased with that result. A gain of 6 positions from where I started. And let's go back and take another look at that mistake from Sharalambo. We've seen a lot of crashes coming into Sheen Curve. Most are losing it on the entrance to the corner, but Sharalambo losing it on the exit. And I perhaps wasn't expecting to get P5 that way, but I will certainly take it. Okay, let's check out the classified results then. After P7 and P6 in my previous 2 races, I finally cracked the top 5. And actually, my pace looked pretty decent. A fastest lap in the race of 1:36.7. Now, that may not have been fast enough to worry the front 2, but it was certainly quick enough to have challenged for a podium had I not had that unlucky bump on the first lap, which dropped me down to 16th. However, I chose this combo as a Christmas treat to myself, and it has not disappointed. Absolutely loved it. And if you've needed a brief respite or a distraction from the Christmas Day festivities, well, I hope this bonus race video has helped just a little bit. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.